All right, everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch Collective. This is a new studio. It's an upgrade from the garage on a half-broken poker table. So I am here with Zach and Tony at Ocean View Stables, Daly City, which is located in the Bay Area, Northern California. Disclaimer, you will hear some horses throughout this, as you just heard. We are working on an amazing partnership. We're excited to talk about it. Zach here was in the Army for 4 years active, and then went reserve for 6 years, total of 10. So that we have that Marine Corps versus Army vibe a little bit going on. I did bring out the Army flag for him. Take it away. Introduce yourselves.
My name is Tony Caceres. I guess I would say I am a farmer at heart, a storage business owner, and now a rancher. Lucky enough to have this man as my partner.
Yeah, and first podcast, right?
Yeah, first podcast. I have not done this before, so.
Well,
yeah,
it doesn't show because the intro, everything, you look incredible. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, no, it all looks good. Zach over here said he's been on 12 before, I think, right? So,
yeah, mostly I'm talking about just horsemanship. That's been a little bit about my military background, but mostly horsemanship. So this is kind of cool because it's, the veteran leadership, entrepreneurship, and then a little bit of horsemanship. So
yeah, no, we're gonna touch on all those topics here. We're gonna talk about therapy, equine therapy. Did I say that right with the horses?
Yeah, equine therapy.
I don't know much about equine therapy, so I'm excited to learn about it. Obviously, we're going to talk about Ocean View Stables, the future, the plan, and then how the Overwatch Collective fits into it, how we got connected. We'll talk about therapy. We have a lot to discuss and break down here. So where do we want to start?
We start where you just left off. So we want to do a horse therapy program here at Ocean View Stables. And Greg and I have been bouncing ideas off, and it seems like we're going to work a partnership with his nonprofit and our facility. And it all stemmed from when I first got out of the military. I had, I was going through my own problems. I was having an issue being present. I was stuck in the past, stuck in Afghanistan, keep going back, wondering what I could have changed. Obviously, you can't change anything. And the horses helped save me. And so ever since then, I've been all in with the horses, and I've been dreaming of the day where this for-profit business we have can have an aspect that can truly help veterans. As of right now, military veterans ride for free, and that is our way of giving back. They ride for free. Everybody else pays to make it free for them. So
it's awesome. I love it. And I know I was fortunate enough to be able to come out here last week and get on a horse, even though I showed up in board shorts, sandals, and a fucking hoodie. And
I had to dress him in my clothes.
Yeah.
He didn't want to ride. I have a feeling that he showed up in those board shorts and those flip-flops on purpose so he wouldn't have to get on a horse.
That's just like my go-to outfit. And I was getting ready to go to work. I did not expect that at all. But no, it was super nice, the hospitality out here, the venue. You guys are doing some amazing work out here. So let's talk really quick about the location. How did you guys find this spot? What are the pros of being located in San Francisco, the Bay Area?
I grew up in the Bay Area. So grew up in San Bruno. I was very familiar with this area. I've taken my dog out here plenty of times, out on these trails and stuff. So I was familiar with the location. I ended up getting a horse just out of the blue without knowing what the hell I was doing.
Randomly got a horse, huh? Usually it's like people randomly get a dog or a cat.
Right.
You got a horse.
I randomly got a horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My plan was I was going to have the horse up at this property up at Sebastopol. And then anyway, knew that we had a horse, that there was a horse boarding facility here, brought the horse. And I was lucky enough to meet Zach, during that process and help me train my horse. And yeah, one thing just led to another and got here today. I had other businesses that were going on. I didn't have the time to really dive in and focus on it, nor did I have the right partner. So I ended up buying a horse. Then I came here. I met Zach. And initially my horse, it was, everybody told me that he can't be, couldn't be ridden that there were some problems with him. But this man was able to get me up on a horse in a matter of no time, which was incredible.
So the farrier told him that his horse was unworkable. He couldn't pick up his feet. The vet that came out told him that he made a bad deal and that this was a very dangerous horse. And I took a little pity on him, so I started helping him with his horse. Got him to pick up all of his feet in a matter of minutes, and got Tony on that horse in a matter of hours.
Nice. All right. So you're the horse expert, which we're going to get into here in a little bit.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about him with this? I was just talking to him the other day about it. I see it in everybody else's eyes too. There's something special when he's working with a horse. I knew nothing about horses, and I had other people at that time training me and showing me what to do with horses and whatnot. But there's just something really special about seeing this man working with a horse. His wife also is absolutely incredible at what they do. They're just professionals by every bit of the word. So watching what he could do with a horse was just really mind-blowing and spectacular to me. I had no freaking clue, about what I got myself into. And next thing I know, I have the farrier telling me, oh, you got yourself a dangerous animal. I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into here?
How was the transition of getting a horse and like learning all that? Because I know I don't know much about horses, and there's a lot of upkeep. Obviously, like I showed up in board shorts and fucking sandals. Like you got to look the part. You have to earn your cowboy hat, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you earn that?
I have not earned mine yet. No,
Okay.
He's still working on it.
I'm still working on it. I'm definitely still working on it. In the beginning, I've always loved animals, all kinds, across the board. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a farmer when I was a kid growing up. Parents kind of told me maybe that's something you should just keep as a hobby. But I enjoyed animals always, and I was never really afraid of them. But and I've always loved horses and always wanted to get one. And it probably was foolish of me to just pull the trigger and get one. But I knew that if I didn't do that, I would never force myself to learn as quickly as I needed to, and put myself in the position where I'd be able to get one. So
yeah, and it all worked out.
Yep.
Right. And so Zach, where did your love for horses come in? When were you first introduced to horses?
Well, I was in high school, and I liked this girl.
Yeah, of course. Whatever she likes, you're going to like. So,
and then I ended up liking the horses and started, being more fascinated with that than anything. And and I left for the military. I would cowboy on the weekends. I would keep, that as a part of everything. And it really, really solidified when I came back. I got an opportunity to work with horses when I was in my lowest point, and they sparked the child within me again and gave me an opportunity to be happy and present. And I got to look at the world in a new light again. And at that point, I was at a very low point in my life. And I was like, I'm not leading anybody. I have no responsibility. Why not try to just go all in on this and make this my everything? And I did. And here I am quite a long time later, still doing it.
Awesome. Yeah. And so Tony, from the area, born and raised, same as me. And 2 weeks ago, we actually figured out that our brothers were in the same grade at high school. Same grade, right? Or
no, I was in the same grade with your brother.
Correct. Yeah. You guys were in the same class.
Wait, no. His brother was in the same grade as you.
No, you were in the same grade as my brother.
Wait. No,
yeah.
I know. I thought he said our brothers. That's why I was.
Yeah. So long story short, we're like, oh, I'm from San Bruno. I'm from Millbrae. And be like, oh, where'd you go to school? I went to Sarah High School. And we're like, okay, what year? The connection was made. So Zach, where'd you grow up? Were you in this area?
Yeah, most of my time was spent in the Sacramento area, actually, in Roseville.
Right.
And then I got real fortunate. Later on, I was able to get a big contract on a very large horse facility just like 10 minutes down the street from my high school. I felt like success at the time.
And then did you leave at some point to go to the military? When did you join the Army?
Well, I left for the military when I was 17.
Okay.
It was when I came back that I really hit this entrepreneurship horsemanship.
Really quick, let's dive into the military aspect if you're good with that.
Yeah.
Talk about what you did in the Army. What was your military occupational specialty, deployment?
Sure.
Break it down really quick.
So I went in the military as infantry starting off and pushed to be something special like all of us try to do. And I got into a special operations unit, long range surveillance, which put me in a position to do some schools, which was really cool. And I deployed with long range surveillance, and that was there's a lot of ups and downs and all that. So
leading into everything with horse and equine therapy is the downs, right? Is the downside of things of being in the military. And like what we see a lot of, like with our military service members and our first responders, is the downside of it, the not so glamorous part of the profession.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned, appreciate you being open and honest about it and being vulnerable, where you're saying the horse has really helped you become a kid again and feel happy because of those downs. So I guess my question to you is, where did those downs come from? Did you get help? Did you recognize those? And then how did horses help you?
One of the things that I've come to realize is the things that keep you up at night, the terrors that you have, is not like the actions you take. It's the things that you can't change, and it's not the missions that you go on. It's the ones that failed, that people don't come back on. And even something as I had a guy on a team who took his own life, and that even is something that I think, what could I have done different? I should have talked to him differently. And then there's people that you lose in combat, and that's devastating, because you're like, well, what if I could have been a better version of myself, and maybe I could have made a difference? And that's the stuff that really kept hitting me. Is I was like, I could have been 10 times the person I was. I should have been 10 times the person I was, and I hit that a lot. And then when you get out, and I went back to the normal world, I don't think that I thought that I had a problem. And this is where what we do, where military veterans can ride for free, and we have no red tape. They can all just ride for free. Comes from this. I think that a lot of people coming out have traumas. And from what I've realized with a lot of these veterans coming here, is these traumas come from all over the place. Most people in the military don't even go to combat, but they still come out with traumas, and there's still a lot of stress. And some people have traumas because they didn't go to combat and they felt like they didn't do enough. And, so there's all of these different things that happen. And I feel like horses can fix like 90% of these problems. And I don't think that most of them believe they have a problem until it's fixed. It took me years and years and years later to realize that the horses were therapy, and that they were the thing that healed me. I just thought that, hey, I found my hobby, I found my passion, I found my thing. And later on, I realized I found healing.
Yeah, so, therapy through that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that you mentioned, which is the big misconception in the military, is that, hey, I never went to combat. There's no way I could have PTSD or PTS, PTSI, however you want to explain it or break it down, whatever acronym you want to use. But still, there's a lot that goes on with every single service member, because you are experiencing trauma, whether you were in combat or not.
Yeah, and I went to combat, and I have my traumas involved with that. But I don't believe that I have more right to this therapy, or that someone else shouldn't speak about it because they didn't have that same experience. And that's why I'm almost not willing to talk about my experiences directly, because it doesn't matter. And we all have our traumas, and I don't want the red tape. I don't want this to be a thing where you have to prove that you have a trauma or you have a problem to be able to come here and get the healing from the horses. You're a veteran, you're my brother, you're my sister, and you can come here and get this healing. And that's what I want.
And then, so Tony, for you meeting your partner, and when you guys first met and learning about his military experience and his vision with that, how did that make you feel when you learned about it? Super supportive. What were your thoughts on it?
Obviously, right out of the gate, I was just incredibly grateful for the sacrifices that everybody makes who serves this country. I didn't serve myself. I didn't go to the Army. I didn't get into the military. It was always something that I was intrigued by. I took a different path in life. It was just incredibly admirable. And I could tell a lot of the pros that just made this man so mature, made him so motivated, so driven. And, just honestly, just an inspiration as to how he was able to navigate his life and what he was able to accomplish. And as you said, I think a lot of people go through traumas in life, military even or not. There's a lot of traumatic things that people go through, even not being in the military. And I think on that level, there's some things that I, could relate to. And, just him telling me how the horses healed him. There was things with me that the horses healed with me too, and I think that's what sold me on a lot of this. They're incredible animals, and they make a difference in everybody's life, really.
Yeah, and going with that, honestly, we're getting really deep into this therapy aspect of horses. And that is a big reason why you're here at the ranch, and we're doing these podcasts here, and we're talking about this partnership that we're getting into. And this is a great time for us to pick your brain on what it is that you're doing here. Honestly, you've told me a little bit about your app, and you've told me about what you're going to do with these therapists, and I'm excited. I think that it's going to be a great collaboration, but we got to dig deep, and why not do it on the camera in front of everybody?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I appreciate this. This is so cool that we were able to set this up. Obviously, the first time really being in a stable setting like this, because obviously I'm not.
Yeah.
I wasn't born and raised around horses or haven't really been around them.
It's okay. This is a very stable situation.
Pun intended. Ding. That was really good. I'm going to give you a round of applause on that one. But the first time coming here was just so welcoming, obviously, to walk in and see the horses. And it's so calming and peaceful. And then you hear all the noises and they're like, hey, come pet me, come touch me, So, I mean, all of you that are listening are hearing them in the background. And I think it's super cool because it's better than being in the garage at my studio, the garage on a broken poker table with the gardener in the background. I would much rather have horses. But yeah, it's just super cool to be here. So to be able to talk about this partnership, to bounce ideas off each other, and how ultimately we can better not only our military community, but also our first responder community, which obviously is what the Overwatch Collective is all about, is just amazing.
So yeah, you have this app and you have this idea to have a podcast for every one of your therapists. Which one of those came first, and what is the next step?
So I'll even rewind, kind of get into really quick about how the Overwatch Collective started.
Yeah.
Before getting into the app, because that's kind of a more recent thing. And this is perfect because I think when we were starting to fill each other in on equine therapy, and I was filling you guys in on the Overwatch Collective, it was kind of we'd always catch ourselves in conversation, be pause, wait till the podcast.
Yeah.
Long story short, my buddy Jesse, he was in the Marine Corps, currently in the Coast Guard Reserves now. We basically just started a podcast in a garage, and we were talking about mental health awareness for our first responder and military community. Me being a police officer, I was touching on the first responder side, and then we were both touching on the military side. People started donating, and we were like, cool, what do we do with this money? Because we don't want to be those assholes that are just let's do something good with the money. That's what everybody wants, right? You guys are giving back, military's riding free here. We're cool, let's do something good with the money. So we turned it into a 501c3 nonprofit where our intent was to create a path for our community, the first responder military community, to get confidential therapy, get it outside of the VA, the employment assistance program, where there's been misconceptions. And then each therapist that they go to is going to be vetted by us. We'll pay 100% for the first 3 sessions, and we can get them connected in a matter of days.
That's awesome.
That was
no red tape. I really like the no red tape.
Yeah, no red tape. The
confidentiality part, I think, is huge.
It's got to be.
Yeah. I mean, so many people have that. There's a stigma against therapy. Yeah,
and it's not only for the first responder and military community. And Tony, you brought up a great point where it's everybody. Literally everybody can benefit from going to someone that's a professional and being like, hey, this is kind of what I'm going through.
Yeah, but the problem with that is how many people are actually going to do that. That goes back to my issue. Like, I found out later that I had a problem. The horses helped me, but there's no way in hell I would go to a therapist. I wasn't going to do that. You couldn't drag me into a therapist and say, this is what you need. I would kick, punch, and throw. Like, there's no way. It's not going to happen. But I needed it, and I got it through horses, and I came out better. And I think there's a lot of veterans like that. So when you don't put red tape on there, you're just like, oh, you want it? Like, we're still not going to hit all the people, but at least we're going to hit the people who don't want to go through traditional,
Correct.
methods.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome that you probably knew at a time that you maybe needed it, but you were like, no, like therapy, about face, I'm walking away. But it's cool that you were introduced to the horses and you recognize that. I think there are so many people in our community that know they need to go and get help, or they're not sleeping, or they're having nightmares, and they have PTSD where they're like, nope, I'm not going. The stigma behind it, where that needs to change.
Yeah, but see, I didn't know. I knew that there was problems. I was waking up. I had night terrors. I wasn't sleeping well. I was self-destructing, but it wasn't like a cognitive thing where I was just like, I have a problem. I need to be fixed. I was still in denial on this whole thing. And then the horses came in such a natural way, such a safe way, that I didn't have to acknowledge anything. And I started to get better and better and better. And it was later on when I was able to self-reflect and look back at it. And I was like, if I didn't have the horses, I would not be in a good place today. Like, I don't think I would have made it through this problem. It was healing, but I didn't know I needed it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in our community go through that where they may not have horses or an out for them to recognize that.
Right.
And then they're struggling.
And I think that's kind of what we hope to do here, provide that opportunity. He was lucky enough in that sense that he learned that the horses healed him after the fact, after that progress had been made. But a lot of people, I think, don't have access to horses, don't have that ability, or don't even know that that's there to heal them. And that's, I think, great point.
And it's horses, but horses aren't for everybody. But I think it's the same concept with a lot of different things. Like, the horses were an outlet for me, but maybe somebody's outlet is whitewater rafting. I think that you just find something where you can really focus in and be in that wholly and just be present. Now, I think the horses do a lot of the healing, but if you could just find something where you can just fully focus, that would do a lot. And also finding purpose. That's something that I think that a lot of us lose when we leave, is like, we had a team, we had a direction, we had purpose, and we were all in it together. Then you go back to the real world where most people are in it for themselves, and that's crushing. So
yeah, you're with your team, you have a schedule, you have a regiment, you're with people that you can bond with, and then you're out, and it's like a culture shock where we're not really prepared for that in the military community, I feel like. And then same thing for a first responder. When you retire, it's like, whoa, like, I'm away from this, I miss it, which is a difficult thing for our retirees. But so essentially, with the VA for the military side, the employment assistance program for the first responder side, we saw a gap that needed to be filled. And it was, the therapy is essentially, if I go, I'm weak, I look like a pussy. If I'm a leader and my team knows that I'm going to therapy, it's like they're going to think less of me. Where you come to us, and since June of 2021, when we started, we're at the point where we have contracted therapists in 29 out of the 50 states.
That's incredible.
I just got our therapy sets yesterday. We've connected 99 people. We're almost at 100.
Nice.
99 people to our culturally competent and informed therapists. I'll get into that. And we spent a total of $77,320 on therapy. And we've either fully covered or financially assisted 776 therapy sessions.
Wow.
And that's connecting anybody in the community to one of our therapists in a matter of days. And it's completely confidential. And that therapist knows what we go through in our community.
Yeah.
They are competent. They're informed. They were vetted by all of us. So it's not your normal therapist that maybe just got a license in therapy that doesn't understand our community. Like, we unfortunately don't want that, because it's so important in our community to get people into therapy to like have a really good first session, because it's like an 80% like rating where if the person goes to therapy and doesn't enjoy it, they're not going back.
Oh yeah. If I went to a therapist and they did not go through something similar to what I went through, you think I'm going to talk to them? No, I'm not going to talk to them. That's like, okay, well, let's move on.
Yeah, and I've heard stories before where you have people go to therapy and they're like, yeah, I went on this mission, or you start talking about the nitty gritty of the shit that we see as first responders and military, and they're like that emoji where the eyes stick out, like what did you really just say that? They're like, that's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
Anybody going through.
Yeah. So something a little different. I'm just curious on how has your entrepreneurship journey been for you? Because this is even a 501c3, that is a business, and you are running this while full-time police officer and part-time Coast Guard. Like, you're doing a lot of things, and we're about to add another thing. This
we are, yeah. And I just learned today, and Jacob's here sitting in the back, that I am an entrepreneur. I could barely even pronounce the fucking thing, but I guess I am that. Which honestly, I never thought of like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur one day, or I want to do this. It was kind of just an idea to give that back to the community. And then we've gotten so much support from so many people that now we're able to do good.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. You're making a real change, which, you made a real difference.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And now it's cool to be able to work with you guys, get this partnership to do even more. So
you're an entrepreneur. Now you're playing with other entrepreneurs. One of the best entrepreneurs at my age that I know here is Tony.
Thanks.
Let's talk about it.
He's blowing smoke at my ear.
No, dude. This is your chance now.
Seriously, time to shine.
And I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on you because...
Of course you are.
Yeah.
You always do.
You've done a lot of unique things. I'm not going to dive into every single one of your many businesses. But the one that is the most prevalent is your self-storage facilities, and you have been strategic and come up with unique ways to do it, and that's something that I think you should be proud of, and you should explain to this new entrepreneur how you made it through these struggles and got to the point where it's been a success.
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, I need to give credit to my parents also. My dad in particular in relation to the storage, my mom overall, and just kind of getting my brain working in a way where everything, I view things through the eyes of a business plan, yeah, my dad had a storage facility, still exists. It's called Affordable Self-Storage. It's out on Treasure Island right now. And that was built out of shipping containers. And, I think a lot of people think of storage and especially nowadays, there's a lot of money being thrown towards storage facilities. And it's something that a lot of people want to do. But there's a big barrier to entry with it, in the sense that, you think, well, man, I got to come up with millions and millions of dollars to buy this property, and even more millions to build a storage facility on it. It's, forget it. I'm not going to get into that. I'll do something else. But the reality is that I didn't feel like that was the case. I felt like and I still feel this, that there's a creative solution to everything in any kind of business that you're doing. If you just got to think outside the box a little bit. I focused on properties that you can lease, for example. So initially there wasn't enough money there to go and buy a property and do a build out. Even a couple of years ago, the most recent one that I opened up was with two buddies of mine, both of which also went to Sarah High School, by the way.
Small world.
Yep. So we opened up Bayshore Storage in Daly City. And what we did there was, it was when COVID hit. I'd seen that commercial real estate leases had started to tank as far as the price per square foot on them goes. And I saw that as an opportunity. I avoided the big boys, the Prologis and the big commercial real estate companies, because I knew how imperative it was to negotiate a good lease. So, we were able to do that. We built, I think, a little over 450 units over there. And that's on I think we had a 30-year lease. It's 10 years with some options. But yeah, the reality is that not just in storage, but in anything I think that you do, is thinking outside the box. You got to get creative. You're gonna hit roadblocks. You're gonna come across problems, and unless you can think creatively for those solutions, you're not gonna get anywhere. So, yeah, that's kind of what.
Yeah, no,
got me into the storage side of it.
You've thought creatively multiple times. You and your business partners have done a lot of cool things with a lot of different businesses. One of the ones that I thought was really cool, and I'm going to push you on this. We're going to talk about this because I would like to do this with you, and we're going to open one somewhere if we can find the same deal. He took old World War II bunkers and turned them into a business. So he took something that nobody else could figure out what to do with, and him and his partners built a business out of it.
Yeah. And I give my dad credit on this one too. I do. He was my partner in this. But it's called the Presidio Wine Bunkers. So it was if I'm not mistaken, it was actually built in World War I. In the Presidio, it was an old ammunitions bunker that we converted to wine storage. Just so happened that the temperature and humidity for storing ammunition is absolutely perfect for storing wine.
Amazing. Yeah, I already want to go.
Yeah. It's neat. It's a historical landmark, and once again,
we'll do a wine tasting there.
Yeah, we can do a wine tasting. We can do another podcast over there if you want, right? Where they used to have the cannons
down,
and then that shot over the hill into the bay. So yeah, that place is pretty neat. And once again, there, you had to be creative in the fact that you're dealing with a historical structure. You can't. When you're trying to build a storage facility in a historical structure, you have to think creatively about how you're going to do it. So nothing was disrupted on this bunker at all. There wasn't one screw that's put into a wall. Yet, we have hundreds of wine storage clients inside that place. So, yeah.
So you get the creativity aspect from dad.
Oof, it's tough. I don't know. My mom was a little bit more of an artist too. My dad, honestly, from both. I get it. I think I get it a bit from both. But I wouldn't feel comfortable standing up here and not giving them the credit I think that they deserve for just getting my mind in the right in that direction on it. For sure I've done some things on my own, and a lot by myself. But at the end of the day, I do got to give them the credit that they just kind of help push me in the right direction.
Awesome.
So,
he definitely got his grit from his dad.
Yeah.
Your dad's a bulldog.
Yeah, he is.
He comes in here and he even I follow him around like he owns this place. I'm like, yes, sir. He comes in here and he owns it.
You're back in the military. Yes, sir, whatever you say.
That guy's got a force behind him.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of respect for him because, my mom too, but my dad, they're both immigrants. They came over from Greece. So I'm first generation born here. My dad was born on a dirt floor, in a mud house in Greece. And came to this country and built something for himself.
Awesome.
By working his ass off. So yeah, I always feel like I have something that I have to live up to. I got something that I can't fail in my mind because of that.
Got
it. I owe it.
That's kind of the same with how I am, even outside of like everything with the nonprofit and the Overwatch Collective was kind of the same thing as you, where owing it back to my family, where my whole family is essentially in law enforcement. And then my brother became a firefighter. The joke is like everybody wants to be a firefighter because they get to like sleep a little bit. They get to work out, wash their trucks.
They only work 3 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, you can, go on and on and on. But so I'm fourth generation law enforcement in my family. And then my grandfather and my dad was in the military. So I pretty much came out of the womb knowing that I was going to be a police officer and then also in the military in some aspect. So I think it's the same. And so for you...
No, wait. We're going to stick with that for a second. Wait.
Pause. What's up?
Oh, no. You can't just go that far and not go... How does your family feel about you trying to transition into this entrepreneurship route? Like you're going to go into business. You're going to have this nonprofit that you're chairing, founding, and operating.
Yeah.
Are they scared for you or what's...
No. I mean, thankfully, and probably Tony, same as your parents too, where they're super supportive.
Yeah.
And like the entire first responder military community, when they kind of hear about the work that we're doing and see the stats and the numbers, like how can you not be supportive of that? I don't want to like sound cocky or anything, but like you pretty much ask any first responder or service member if they know someone who has died by suicide, and they're probably going to say yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just where we're at. I can spit off a few names.
Yeah.
You could spit off a few names. Even if you're outside of the first responder and military community, everybody more than likely knows someone who has died by suicide, which our motto is one more is one less, where all we want to do is prevent one suicide. That's it.
Yeah.
So with that and all the work that kind of goes into this on top of being a full-time police officer in the military reserves, it's like, give it up to my parents. They're super supportive, and
That's awesome.
all my other family and friends and everything. So they love it. They're super supportive.
Nice.
I know times are tough, especially living in the Bay Area. It's super expensive out here. Obviously, I'm not getting paid. None of the board of directors are getting paid at the Overwatch Collective. It's all voluntary status. So definitely difficult, but very supportive.
Yeah, it's just like a startup of any sort. You gotta pay your dues. You gotta put your money in. You gotta make the thing run. But you're putting in a lot of time. So hopefully, if everything goes well, you'll get this to a point, and hopefully we can help you get to this point where you can make this a career, make it a good thing, where you can dive in full-heartedly.
Yeah, that is the goal. Tony, with your creativity, meeting Zach, with your experience with horses, I kind of want to transition into the bigger ideas here at Ocean View Stables with you two. What after from taking over 6 months ago, which congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
In sync, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. Cheers.
Give me another cigar or whatever. Yeah, cigar. There you
go. So kind of, I guess let's talk about that really quick, where the partnership and how it was taking over a new spot where you've already done a lot of work to it. Like,
well, we knew that this was going to take a lot of work coming in. This is barn has been here for 100 years. Need a lot of work. And this property was leased the entire time, before we came in. So it needed to switch hands. It needed a new pair of owners that were willing to put the time, effort, and money that it takes to be able to do this and do it the right way. But we also knew that we'd have to be creative, and don't let him fool you. He's just as creative as I am.
God, not giving yourself enough credit.
He's not. No, he's not. We knew that we needed to come up with other streams of revenue for this ranch. So the trail rides have been going great. We have borders in place. Things are moving along smoothly. But to really get to the next level, we have to come up with some other streams of revenue for this place. And it's such a unique site with the views that you have here, the location being right off Skyline. So we're coming out with our food truck that's coming out soon. That's going to be right up front, and it's going to be called the Cowboy Cookout. We're going to have coffee and bagels in the mornings. We're going to cook a mean cheeseburger.
Hell yeah.
As greasy as they come.
Cheers, please. I'm in.
Yes.
Throw an egg on that thing. 100%.
And then we also plan to do some sort of either once a week or every couple of weeks, like a brisket, some sort of barbecue food that we're planning on really putting out there, as the day goes on. So
he's only giving you half of it, because while that's beautiful and that's awesome, the part that makes it really flow is the beer and wine garden aspect to it. That's going to make a lot of people. If you can come here, you can have a beer, eat a burger, and watch horses get trained on, because we'll do clinics throughout the day so people can sit there and watch us, and we'll explain what we're doing with the horses and the training aspect. And so it's just going to be this overall environment that just does not exist anywhere.
Yeah.
Come get a burger, drink a beer, and watch me explain what I'm doing as I'm training the horses.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you have your experience with wine.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which helps.
Yeah. The clients, I would say my clients at the wine storage facility have a lot more experience about wine. I know how to store their wine.
Perfect. Yeah, that's half the battle, right? You got the perfect storage for it and
Yeah.
the protection since it used to be an ammo storage.
Yep.
So really quick for just to kind of paint the picture for the audience.
Sure.
Talk about the location that we're at. So I know because people listen to this and they're kind of all over the country. So
Yeah.
we are one city south of San Francisco. But
We're a rock throw
but
away from
close,
San Francisco.
close to the border, depending what kind of arm you have, but very close to the border. And we're right along the water. So break it down.
Sure. And he's right with an arm throw.
That property next to us is the last part of Daly City. If you go to that parcel right next to it, that's San Francisco actually. So yeah.
I could throw a football there.
You throw a football.
Maybe not a perfect spiral, but I can throw it in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're right on the coast. And what I mean on the coast, like the back of our property is a cliff that just has unobstructed views of the ocean. So it's very, very unique in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. We're very fortunate to have this place, and anybody who comes here, even when we first got this place, we had to take truckloads and truckloads and truckloads, dumpster load after dumpster load of debris out of this place. It was dilapidated. It had problems. Everything was a problem. It was more of a headache than anybody should have ever taken on, and we did it because if you just could see through all of the bad and you just looked at what this property is and where it's at, it's magical. And it's a place where we can actually make magic happen. And that's where the therapy comes in. Like we're going to bring people here and they're going to enjoy horses. And a part of it is they're going to ride down to the beach on a horse. You know, like that. Yeah. What is that? It's insane.
And I think it's rare to have that in this location, right? Because so when I came here, well, I don't know, when was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, we hopped on horses and
rode down to the
literally
beach. Yeah.
You have the whole view of the water down to the beach. We did a video down on the beach and then you ride back up and you don't have to carry a rucksack. You're not marching up. I'm like, this is awesome. I just hold on to the reins of the horse and they walk me up.
It's the only kind of hiking you should ever do is on horseback.
Yeah. So I think it really is cool to be in this location and specifically for our military community. We have VA, San Francisco, Palo Alto, which is local, and then obviously first responders everywhere. But maybe touch on that a little bit. Being in San Francisco area.
Well, so being in San Francisco is great. We're in this isolated little piece that's only 10, 15 minutes away from the city of San Francisco. Like we can drive right into the city in 15 minutes. It's amazing. But we feel like we're out of it. You know, we're just a few minutes away from the San Francisco Zoo on this line of property that, you know, is pretty isolated and it's beautiful. Being this close to San Francisco has a lot of benefits, a lot of people. And it's great. You can't beat this. You can't beat this opportunity. So one of the things we haven't really talked about, and this goes on to therapy and it also goes on to just everything we're doing here. Our next big thing is, so we're putting the food truck in. And then we're going to landscape this. We're in the middle of getting this barn beautified. So we want it to just look as beautiful as this all the way through. It needs some work, but we're going to get that done. We're going to get it done quick. It's just like everything else we've done here. It's just, we're moving. Then once that's done, once the landscaping's done, once the food truck is doing well, we're going to put these pods in the back so that people can stay overnight for our clinics and school process. So we want to do a leadership through horsemanship clinics where people are learning and going through a school of leadership through a process of horsemanship. And, you know, I'll also put in what I've learned in the military and school and everything. And he'll put in his understanding of, you know, building teams. And he has a really good philosophy he can talk about after this, about how, you know, being a good owner and manager is about being a good coach. But I'll poke back at that in a second. So we'll have the pods in the back, food truck in the front, clinics for the horses, trail rides down, lessons going on. And it's all just going to be one big school of horsemanship. And people can be involved and you can come and do a piece of it or the whole thing. If you want to come stay for one night, you'll get your packet for the school. You'll check a few things off, do a couple clinics, eat some food, enjoy yourself. And then if you know, it's at your own pace. And you can come back as often as you want and keep checking more things off and get closer to that end goal. and just make this an experience. Like, I bet you families will come here as a group, come be a part of this experience, check it off, and each year they'll get closer and closer until they finish our leadership course. It'll be great. The part for where we're all going to connect is this is also going to be a really good clinic for therapy for veterans. If we have the same program and we also add therapists to it, and we make this so that it's not just a leadership course, but it's a healing course, well, I mean, the foundation's here. We're already doing it. We're already putting it all together. Now we just add an aspect of helping our community and helping our brothers and sisters, and putting it in a place where first responders and veterans alike can come here, and this can be something very healing for them. I think it's going to be great. We're already almost there. So
yeah, and I think it's so cool to hear you talk about it, but also to see your facial expressions, because I can tell how excited you are and how into it you are, because you essentially lived that and it helped you.
Yeah.
Which you talked about earlier, where now you're envisioning and you're like, okay, I know this helped me. Now let me help
yes,
people, So
exactly.
And I could see your face light up like a kid in Disneyland. And I love it.
I'm a kid in Disneyland. Have you seen this? I build things and play with horses for a living. Can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
And then I like do some computer science on the side.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then shoot, I forgot. What was the point that you had for Tony to talk about?
Yes, thank you.
No, we're not letting you off the hook.
Not letting you off the hook. So he has this analogy, this thing that he keeps saying, and he brings it to me whenever I get frustrated, and he tells it to some, it's his token thing. And he talks about how, as an owner and having to run a lot of businesses, he feels like a coach, and he has to set up the stage in that. I'll let you take it off. I'm going to butcher it.
No.
You're really good at explaining this, and it's helped me a lot really get myself back in.
Yeah, I think as an owner of businesses, it's humbling to see that everybody, all you're really doing is assembling a team. There's people that I have on my team at every business that are better than me in a lot of things that they can do. And I think about it even like a football team. You have a coach, you have your quarterback, you have your offensive linemen, you have your wide receivers, you have people, so really in my brain, it's just about assembling this team. So when I see what's lacking and what's missing on this team, that's a gap that I need to fill. And I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. And I think not really having an ego about things is what's helped me in that sense. I think a lot of owners make mistakes in the sense that they're like, I'm going to do everything. Why should this employee be getting credit for this or that? And I don't care about the credit. I don't care about any of that. I enjoy seeing things grow and progress and building, as Zach said. And that's really what I see my job really as it is just a coach. So as a coach, I'm there for my employees. I'm there for them to talk to when they need somebody to talk to. I'm there to help them. I'm there to help guide them in every facet of what they do. And for me, everybody on this team is just as important. From the guys that I have maintenance guys that are working there that have been loyal and have been there for so many years. I ask their opinions on things, and everybody on this team plays a role.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. And I think that's brilliant. As an entrepreneur, you're the coach. You're the head coach. You need to make sure that you're assembling a good team. The coach isn't the guy playing the football game,
right?
He's the guy making sure that we have the right people to get that game going, and then he's there to guide them when they need it. So
yeah, and that's where we came up with the name, the Overwatch Collective. Like, I'll break that down really quick because it goes hand in hand. Where the collective aspect, where it's the team effort, right? Where every business, everything that you do, whether you're first responder or military, you storage facilities, it's a team effort. You're not, no one's like, yes, you could have founded the idea or whatever, but you could not do it all by yourself.
No.
So that's where the collective aspect came in. And then Overwatch, Overwatch, if you're in an Overwatch position, you're kind of providing security over a certain area. You're looking over everything. So that's where Overwatch Collective came in for us. But I love the explanation of being a coach and asking everybody for their opinions and all that. Because it truly is a team effort to make all of this possible.
Yeah. And I think it's, no, I don't mean to interrupt that. I think it's important to constantly make, to reiterate the fact that everybody is part of the team. I think a lot of people lose sight of that, and they don't make people feel special. They don't make people feel like they're a part of anything. And nobody wants to just come in and come to work in 9 to 5, the same thing. Yeah, you get your paycheck and then you go on with your day. But it's just the little stuff that make a difference. Asking their opinions, making them feel like they're a part of something, doing some team building things, having fun. I think those things go a long way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And especially in a business like ours, like this is a passion, and you want to build a team that loves horses.
Yeah.
Everything else we could fix.
Right.
And they could have problems all over the place. And like you said, if they're a part of the team, we're going to work on it. We're going to work on it. As long as they're also working on it with us, we're going to work on it. Right. If they don't like the horses, if they're not here for the horses, well, this is not the business where we can accept that.
Yeah.
And I have a question, which is something that we have not talked about, which will be good for the audience too. So talking about team, since you guys got this place 6 months ago, how did you build the team? Where are you at now with team? And then also, like, I want to know about some of the horses. How many horses are here?
Yeah.
Et cetera. Yeah. Take it away.
I'll let Zach. Yeah. I mean, you can go into the horse system. I mean, even the team part, but I think on the team side, we're still building, in a sense, it's new. I would use it as, you're, I don't know. Would you agree to say like we're still kind of having tryouts to a degree?
We are. We're too new to have our solidified team. That being said, this is my 4th facility I've stood up. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to bring several people along every step of the way, which, it makes me happy to know that there's some people out there that really are in it for the horses, right? And have the same common goal. And yeah, so like Jacob, you mentioned him earlier, he's in the back there. This is his day off. He's not working today, and he wanted to come out here and be a part of this. He thought this was cool.
That's awesome.
Like that's insane. He's been with me for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And he came in as a child doing lessons with us, and then it progressed to him like being out there so often that he like his family and our family and myself and my wife became friends, and he ended up staying with us for long periods of time, like big gaps of time. And we've been not just his livelihood and his income, but we're his family. And no matter what goes on in his life and several other people here, we're going to try to, again, as long as he's putting an effort, we're putting an effort.
Yeah.
Because he's in it for the horses, and same with a lot of people on our team. And something Tony's really good at is if somebody's not in it for the team, he's able to see it from a bird's eye view, and he can help find the cancer cell. And I'm glad to have a partner who can come in and just take care of it. And it's for me, it's one of the hardest things in a business is seeing that and just being able to take action, especially when you want everybody to be here for the right reasons and you want them to be a part of this ranch family and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be the difficult side of it. And I'm sure that you've dealt with it before, but obviously you're taking over Ocean View Stables. You have to build a team. There's a lot going on here. I know when I showed up today, there's people dropping stuff off. There's a truck helping move stuff, everything. Like there's a lot going on, but it is one of those things where even for me, putting myself in your shoes, if they're like, I don't have any experience with that, with like recognizing someone's like not a part of the team and being like, okay, like either you're in it or you're out. I'm seeing these things and like they got to be fixed or you're out. So maybe talk about some of the challenges with that.
Yeah, sure. I definitely have a lot of help. So and a lot of feedback with this too. Kalea, our other partner in this, is she's our barn manager. So she'll bring things to my attention, and so will Zach. I guess maybe it's a knack or it's a feeling really. I think maybe one of my skills is I can just tell if people are are happy. And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, that kind of makes you maybe not the best fit for a team. So even in other, my other businesses, it's happened in storage. And I mean, firing somebody is something that I don't like. Like I can't stand that aspect of owning a business and, being an entrepreneur. That's going to happen. You're going to have to get rid of some people, and you're going to have to, but really in reality, I try my hardest to never have to get to that point. Like, at times if people aren't happy and that's what happens, and so be it. But like Zach said, I really try to maintain and keep this team going. And I think one really cool aspect that I noticed about here on the horse side that I haven't come across in any other business is the willingness of people to want to come and work for you and with you. I don't get that in storage. Like I don't get people knocking on my door like, "Oh my God, your storage facility is so freaking cool, man. I just want to work here. This is awesome. I'll do anything to work here." Like I don't get that. So here it's a complete opposite. There's people all the time asking and wanting to work here, which freaking blew my mind. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
that being said, we have to be selective, but
exactly,
we have a huge list of people that want to work here,
right.
And now it's how do we find the person who's going to be that really good fit?
And that's the same thing for us with our therapists.
Yeah,
which is the same exact thing. So that's why when we have people that reach out, we go through a vetting process, which is similar to owning a business and being an entrepreneur here.
And I was just going to say, and I think the other aspect of it too is really kind of listening to your gut. Sometimes you just have that instinct, that feeling inside of you, and you can try and push past that and say, maybe this, maybe that. But I really believe like if you follow your gut in life, you'll live a life with no regrets.
Yeah. So your therapist, you have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I really want to get back to that whole, you're going to podcast every one of your therapists?
That's cool.
Yeah. So essentially the whole point of starting the nonprofit was to have contracted therapists that were vetted through us, first responders and service members, that I could confidently say it would be good to work with you and you get what we go through. Because I'm fortunate where I know the first responder side and the military side, and that's our entire community that we're paying for therapy. Other than being a spouse, significant other,
right.
I know that whole aspect. I know what it's like to be a son of a first responder and a military member. My dad was in the military and currently still is a sheriff deputy with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. He was gone overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, missed my graduations, missed my brother's graduations, birthdays, anniversaries, you name it. Been there, get it. First responders, seen fucked up shit, been there, get it. Deployed overseas, been there, I get it. So when we get new therapists on board, I'm like, okay, knowing everything that I know and thinking like, okay, if I'm this person in a military unit or a first responder that is hesitant to reach out for help and raise that flag and be like, hey, here, sergeant or team leader or whatever, like I'd like to go to therapy, which doesn't really happen. We can confidently say, hey, we'll connect you to a person no matter what state you're in a matter of 2 or 3 days. I can guarantee you that that person understands what you are going through or have been through and has solutions for you in order to help you get better.
Now, are your therapists combat related, or is it just like they have to be a vet or a first responder?
So that is the culturally competent / informed part. So, and this is all new to me, obviously, throughout this whole process. I'm learning a lot, but the culturally competent part is like, okay, I was an active duty service member. I was a police officer. I retired. Now I'm a therapist for first responders. That's a competent part. The informed part is I'm in a relationship with a first responder, a service member, or I've done X amount of training with this community where I not necessarily have been a first responder or service member, but I know like how to treat you, how to get you better. And you could tell me whatever, and I will not be like that emoji where it's like the eyes are like, what? Like you are messed up. Like that's what you see.
That vetting process is you creating your team.
Yeah. And that's
You know
exactly
what I mean?
what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
'Cause-
That's you creating your team in this.
So do you accept like spouses of veterans as the therapists because they understand it? Because like I can see how that works. And my wife had to deal with my night terrors and me like sleepwalking and having to like hum me to sleep. She said, like there's like she's had to go through a lot of things and had to realize the after effects of this stuff. And I think that because of that, she has a better understanding than probably even me. It's like,
yeah, 100%.
like I'm in it, but she's the one dealing with it.
Yeah, 100%. And so for your wife, she's not a therapist, but she could be a part of our buddy program.
Yeah.
So we have and that's a whole nother topic is.
Well, no, what she'll be a part of is the horse therapy. Right?
Correct.
What's your buddy program?
So the buddy program, essentially we came up with it and it's just a list on our website where you can go on there. And so for you being in the military or getting out of the military and maybe not wanting to talk to your wife or your spouse, your significant other, or people in your team that you used to work with that are still in, you can go on the website and you can find a picture, email address, and bio of someone that was in the military. And essentially he or she is on there just to say like, hey, like I'm a resource. Like if you want to reach out, like contact me via email, and it's a buddy that you can reach out to. And so we have over 30 now, and we have some that they give us feedback and it's like, okay, yeah, we get coffee once a month, or it's just a simple text check-in like, hey, how'd you get through this? And it's not therapy. It's not raising that red flag. It's literally just completely anonymous.
It's just meetings, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Is this a part of your app?
It will be on the app.
Will be on the app.
Yeah, that'll be one of the updates that'll come out.
Nice.
All right. So the first thing is the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
How do you earn a cowboy hat, Zach?
Yeah. So our program, the lesson program we have is a level 1 through 5 program. At level 1, you learn foundational horsemanship. It's everything that you need to know to be safe around them and to understand enough about horses for us to get you to the next step where we really get into the fine equitation. And then the level 3 is when we sponsor our students with our horses intact to go to competition with us. So we have a program that's pretty robust. Now, the cowboy hat is a sign that you're somebody that other people can go to for answers. So once you make it through level 1 in our program, you are now allowed to wear a cowboy hat at the ranch. Before that, you are not allowed to wear it. It helps, first of all, build some morale, or camaraderie. You have to earn the cowboy hat. Now people want to wear the cowboy hat. Now people are excited, and you can wear it with pride, knowing that you put in effort to get it. And then the part that is very beneficial here is if you've earned your cowboy hat and you're wearing it at the ranch, other students know that they can ask you a question and know that they're going to get a quality answer back. So that's our program here for it. In fact, that is a good time for me to put my cowboy hat back.
Yeah, throw that thing on.
Yeah.
So
Should be wearing.
Tony, how far are you in the process? When's this hat? When do you get awarded?
Yeah, good question. I definitely still have a little bit of ways away to get through my level 1. I think we focus so much time and effort into building this business
That's the priority.
Yeah, and some of that's been put on the back burner, I'd say. But I'm progressing in my own right.
I think I can answer
Zach
better
and
than you
Kalea
can.
and Jacob have all been teaching me. Go ahead.
He is doing great. He needs to do there's a few transition things that he needs to do. Like he needs to be able to get the horse to go from a walk to a trot to a lope, and then back down to a trot and back down to a lope, using his body to change those gaits rather than reins. And he needs to ride bareback.
Yeah,
which is going to happen soon.
Okay.
So question here, what is bareback?
No saddle.
No saddle.
Okay.
Ride a horse without a
Easy.
saddle.
Hey, stop yelling at me, guys. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with horses. I'm still learning. So
How far have you made it in the level 1 program?
You asked me, it was a 25-minute ride.
Oh,
I like it.
all right.
Firing back at you. What is the level 1 program? How long does that take? Are there a certain amount of hours? Is there a checklist, pass, fail?
So our program is based on, we have a packet, and it shows everything you're going to learn the whole way through it. And you bring it with you every time you come for a lesson. So this is not based on time. It's not hours under saddle. It is how quickly can you make it through learning and then being able to explain it to us and then being able to teach somebody else it. And then we finally check you off on it. So there's a step to this. If you can't teach somebody else it, then you don't know it well enough. And so each piece of this, there's several processes you have to go through. Once you make it through level 1, you go to level 2, and it's the same thing. And it could take years or it could take months, and that's really up to you and how much dedication you put into it. So,
got it. And where did you get this from? Is this like
my wife and I built this?
Got it. Okay.
This is our program uniquely. We've been building it over the course of years, 6, 7, 8 years now, building this thing, and it's a significant program. There's nothing out here like ours. There's nobody else who's putting together these systems, having it all on paper so that you see where you're going, and then ultimately letting your team, your students, use your horses in your attack to go to competition with you. That's uniquely ours.
Got it. And that's open to anybody in the Bay Area comes here. And how does that work with like scheduling?
Yeah, so we have a book online software.
Okay.
And so you can go online, and if there's an open slot, then you can book it. You put a deposit down, you show up, and you do your lesson. We give you the packet when you show up, or you can download it. When you purchase the lesson, then it gives you a PDF, so you can download it. And then you just bring that with you every time that you come for a lesson. So it's at your own pace.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Speaking of book online software and software in general, I'm a computer scientist. I am really, eagerly asking. I think I've asked like 4 times, and you are just hiding the information from me. I feel like you've got some sort of like secret going on. What is the app?
No secret. Trust me. I think it's the complete opposite of a secret, where I'm like, please download the Overwatch Collective app. So I'll break it down for you really quickly. So essentially, one of the gentlemen that we had on our podcast knows these people who create apps, and that's what they do for their living, right? They make money off of apps, and it's for profit. Well, they wanted to partner with a 501c3 nonprofit that could be the face of it. So they changed the name from Rebos to the Overwatch Collective. Our secretary, Kelsey, did a bunch of work with them, meetings, learning about apps. That's the stuff that you probably know about getting it all set up. So now, as of now, we have 400 users, give or take, in the app. And it's for Apple and Android. So even the people that have the green text that ruin every single group thread, you guys can download it too. And essentially what it is, it's because we always have our phones with us, our computers, our iPads. So it's basically a resource for you at your fingertips, where you can be Greg Rogan, or you can hit one button and you can go into incognito mode and be completely anonymous. You have a social media aspect where you can create a profile. So Zach, it could be you on a horse with your cowboy hat. Tony, it could be you in the office or drinking wine in the ammo storage facility. And you could post pictures, videos. So it's kind of like a social media platform there.
Who can see you on this social media platform?
Anybody that downloads the app.
Okay. And these are all people that are wanting to go through your therapy program?
Not necessarily just going through the therapy program, but it's people in our community.
Okay.
So when you do download the app, you'll be asked a series of questions like, are you a first responder? Are you a firefighter? If you're a firefighter, then you get a red ring around your name, so that while you're using the app, other users can see like, oh, this person posted this. There's a red ring around. They're a firefighter. Or for me, it's blue and green. So police officer and military. So that's an easy way to identify, like, if you're a spouse, significant other, military, first responder.
What does it look like if you're a spouse?
I don't know the color off the top of my head. There's a list of colors, but when you download the app, you click which one you are, if you're a supporter and all that.
It should be like hazard red.
Wow. Why do you say that? No. No, I don't know off the top of my head what color theirs is, but essentially every single position has a color for them. So you have the social media aspect. You have, we just got our wellness center. So you have the veteran crisis line number. You have 988 where you can call or text straight through the app. And then with that, we're going to get our buddy program on there, our therapists. You also have access to other podcasts. So we have Dear Chiefs podcast, Wives on Fire. We have Ironsides podcast. We have Behind the Shield. We have all these other podcasts that align with our mission and our community at the Overwatch Collective. So it's supportive of first responders and service members where we're essentially anybody in our community that downloads the app can be like, hey, like instead of listening to the Overwatch Collective podcast, like I want to listen to Wives on Fire where they're two spouses of firefighters out in Oregon where they talk about what it's like to be married to firefighters.
Yeah.
Which is a great resource for that part of our community. And you also have audio rooms, which is essentially, it's essentially like doing a podcast, right? So I can hop on an audio room with you guys through the app where it's kind of like a Skype call or a Zoom call where we can be hosting it and then people can join as we're live. And they could be, hello, you can join too, where they could be anonymous or they could be Zach or Tony. They can raise their hand and actually, whoever's hosting it can click on their name. They can speak and ask a question, or they can type in the comments and ask a question. So it's like, can you elaborate more on equine therapy? And they'll be like, oh yeah, good point. Thank you for asking more elaboration. And then those save just like podcasts do. So you can go in and listen at a later date.
Nice.
So you're like essentially going to be the Twitter for first responders and veterans.
Essentially. And that like the sky is the limit with
X. You're going to be X for veterans and first responders.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. And the whole community. So and then obviously there's more updates that need to come along with it too. But essentially through the app, you're going to have access to all of our buddies that I mentioned earlier, where you can contact them directly through the app. You'll be able to click on whatever state you're looking for a therapist in. So like say New York, for example, right? I'm a firefighter in New York and I download the app and I want to work with a therapist, but I don't want to go through my department. So I'm going to go on the Overwatch Collective app, say I'm in the state of New York, and then a list of the therapists that we contract with in New York are there. You can see their photo, email, bio, and then I do a podcast with every single one of them. So that person can take a few days, listen to a podcast with that person, and then make a conscious decision of who they want to work with.
Nice. And you can do this, you can do that all in that incognito mode.
You can do it all in incognito mode. So as we talked about earlier, where it's super important, like for everybody to be like to ask for help, but like know that there's confidentiality, which for military and first responder, like it's like high school. Like we know everybody's shit where like you hear about everybody's internal affairs complaints. If someone's getting in trouble or demoted in the military because they fucked up, everybody finds out about it. So why wouldn't they find out about you going through a dark time and potentially having nightmares, being suicidal, whatever, where you come to us, you don't have to worry about that at all.
See, that's cool. I don't know how many social media platforms exist that you can go into this incognito mode and acquire the resources that you're looking for while maintaining your privacy. Sounds like my kind of social media.
Yeah.
It's
well, I mean, this guy doesn't have any social media, so this might be the only one he actually to. So.
I'm like, hey, this one sounds good.
I am going to have you download the app after.
I will, 100%.
Yeah. So then the goal with the app is, so as of now we're at like 400 users. When we hit that 1,000 user mark, then we're going to start getting advertisement space on there. So we'll hit up Oakley, G-Shock, all these like meal prep companies, anything that kind of is in line with our first responder and military community, and be like, hey, on this page, we can have your logo and a little blurb about what you do for X amount of money a month. And then with podcasts, we can have like bigger podcasts, bigger guests on and be like, hey, it's 99 cents for you to listen to this. And then people can also donate through the app. So the goal is to start making money through the app, which will come to us through the nonprofit, which means we can fund more therapy sessions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good. Awesome. And then like when we get to a point where we're partnering and we have people coming and staying on the property, going through our robust program, they would do that through your app too, right?
They could, yeah. You could do you literally, and you can use it as advertisement space as well. So anybody can go on at any time and do an audio room. So like all of our therapists can go on and be like, hey, my name's Greg. This is the type of therapy that I do. If you're out there listening to this and you're looking for a therapist, this is kind of what I do. Or here's a little bit of insight on EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and just provide education and be like, hey, if you want to work with me or your department wants to contract with me, so they can do that. So it's a great advertisement tool. You happy now? That was like 4 times asking, finally broke down the app.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to delay it, I promise.
It's way more than I was expecting. I was just like, okay, so it's going to be an app that you go in and then you click on which therapist you want. No, it's a whole social media setup. Like I was like, wow, wait, it was worth it. Yeah, it's way more than I was expecting.
I'm glad it was worth it. I'm glad it was worth it. So some departments have different apps where one's called Cortigo, where you kind of have the same thing where they pay like $50,000 a year and they have a list of therapists within the area of your department within like a 50-mile range. That has been tested by some of my friends and myself. Some of those therapists are no longer practicing or they're full and they're not taking any more clients. So you can imagine for the first responder that's finally taken that leap and reaching out for help to act like it's on them to seek the therapist and find out. And then to call them and be like, nope, we're not accepting. Like, all right, on to the next one. Nope, we're not accepting. At that time, when you finally have someone reaching out for help, it needs to be a smooth, easy process.
What fail-safes do you have in place to make sure that you don't fall into that same problem where your therapists are overbooked or they no longer take clients?
So we track all of that. So if for whatever reason they're like, hey, I'm at my max, we keep track of all of that. And then also as we progress and get bigger and bigger, the goal is to have 5 to 10 therapists in every single state. So it's like if we have 2 that are at their max, we can always be like, hey, we have 2 that are at their max. They're going to be accepting new clients in a few months, but we also have 3 or 4 others that you.
So everybody knows we have been setting up the stage for this, and we have purposely not talked about what the overall goal is. We've established that there's something that we can be doing here. And we have established that they have assets that will help and that we have assets that will help. We have not really collaborated on how it's all going to work together and we are going to build this program. And so we figured our first shot at thinking through this will happen right here on this stage. And then we'll go from here.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of cool to leave that until this moment where we can talk about like our ideas, bounce ideas off each other, but then also, which is that team aspect, that collective aspect, where it was like, what a better time to talk about it than on the podcast. So then if anybody is out there listening, anybody could be like, hey guys, listen to this. Here's a cool idea. You can try this. Where it's like,
on it.
It's cool. Yeah. So Tony, you've been quiet for a little bit. So what are your ideas? I know you're the one that can explain the pods in the background, right? You know the layout of them, what they're going to be like. Do you touch on that?
Sure. Yeah. We're planning on building these pods, and they're going to be built out of essentially 8 by 20 shipping containers, but it's going to be all self-sustaining in that sense. So they'll be powered by solar energy. They're going to be up on trailers, so they're non-permanent structures. They'll be able to be moved in and out, as needed. There's not going to be any electrical or water hookup that's needed to operate these pods and to stay in them. But they're going to look really nice. They will have all the amenities that are needed to be able to stay and enjoy the time that you spend in them. And on top of that, they're going to be placed in a setting that has an absolutely breathtaking view, with an unobstructed, just view of the ocean, and on a place that has horses, on a place that will be beautifully landscaped. We're still planning on putting Emberlin's garden out there and a little chicken coop out here. We're building a little mini, our version of what Disneyland would be if it was built by Zach and Tony and Alea and Zoe.
Yeah. So, and Emberlin's my daughter, by the way.
Emberlin's his daughter.
17 months old. And Tony decided that he wanted a garden here, and he dedicated it to Emberlyn. So it's going to be called Emberlyn's Garden.
Yes.
So,
I love that. Yeah, and she was out here last time on the tractor and
She's incredible.
Love that. Yeah,
she's incredible.
She rides horses at 17 months. Her first time on a horse was 3 months. She posts and she holds on, and she can somewhat steer at 17 months. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, she probably does better than me right now at 17 months.
Yeah.
Respects.
She'll do better than me by the time she's 10. I guarantee it. So.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah, so these pods are big. They're going to play an important role in our grand plan here, through the lesson program and the school that we're building, revolving around horsemanship. But in addition to that, I think they can play a significant role in the therapy program that we want to put in place here too.
The idea is we're building a couple different clinics and trade school aspects to this place. So we're going to have a leadership through horsemanship program, where we are going to teach people how, working through horses will give you a better understanding of management, better understanding of regulation. It'll show you how the slightest change actually matters and how you should take that into the workplace. And I could show it in real time with the horses. And it hasn't failed. Every time somebody has come to one of these things that I put on, it has made huge impacts. And so that's one of the big things that I would like to put here. We're working towards it. And people would be able to stay in the pods. They'll be able to eat food from our Cowboy cookout restaurant. We'll do a couple different horsemanship clinics, and we'll do a big clinic on leadership through horsemanship. And then they'll be able to go down on a trail ride down to the beach as well. So like this whole thing is a school. It's a clinic. And they will get a little certification that they went through our leadership course, which, when it breaks down every aspect of what they've learned from it, it's going to help, give them a leg up in their corporate events or whatever, or, wherever they're trying to progress. And the other aspect is a trade school for horsemanship. And so the way that's going to work is kind of like our lesson program, where it's at your own pace. But it's going to be a extensive program that'll take more than one stay, but it's going to be, a 2-day course, and they could do as much or as little as they want while they're there. So if they want to stay in the pod and pet horses, fine. You're not going to check anything off your list. You're not going to grow into into this school, but you could do that. Or you could do all the things that are offered. You can come into the morning clinic. You can do your trail ride. You can participate in the feeding of the horses and the care of the horses. And you can learn all of these aspects of horsemanship that will be checked off your list. So next time you come, we'll look at your list and what you've done, and we'll get you to the next step and the next step. And over a course of time, they can actually get certified to be a horseman and progress. So it gives another fun aspect. They could just go through a lesson program and get a lot of the same things, but we're giving them an opportunity to do it, like live the lifestyle, show up, be here from the day they show up all the way till the next 24 hours and see all the things that go into caring for a horse and being on a facility. So, and once, like he said, we take the aspect of this. We add some therapists so that we can explain why people are feeling better after doing this. Because when I first did it, I couldn't explain the phenomenon that was going on. I was just getting better. When we throw a therapist in there, they can tell them, then now we have something,
Yeah, and I think that's super important to have the therapist aspect into it, because you can explain it, show it to people, but they're going to be like, who are you in regards to therapy, right? Like, where's your life? So so when you bring that therapist aspect into it, you have your side of it where you can be like, hey, this is how I connect with the horse. This is what I do. This is how it's helped me. But then you have the clinical side of things to be able to explain the clinical part of the equine therapy and working with the horse and how it's benefiting the person.
Yeah, and explain to them what changes they're feeling or help them or guide them towards finding their own realization of what's happening.
Yeah. And that's one of the things where we at the Overwatch Collective are coming into play, and we've already started working on that after our last conversation is, we have therapists all over the country essentially now, which is amazing to say, in 29 states, but when we were like, all right, cool, we need to find some therapists like locally in the Bay Area that would be able to come out here and be able to partake in this. We're like, all right, we got to find some local ones now. So we're in the works of finding local ones that are going to be excited, eager, and willing to learn about equine therapy and partake in the leadership course. So it'll be cool. It'll be really cool. It'll be beneficial too, and not only for our military and first responder community, but I think for everybody to have that.
Yeah, it has a lot of applications, and then with that collaboration, you have other aspects to better the whole system. You guys can do fundraising here, which we still need to talk about that too. I thought you might have an idea, and we were going to talk about it here, and that would be great. But we could do that. We can fundraise and bring some money into making this place better for these programs, and it makes it better for the horses. It makes it better for the veterans who are coming, and it's just like Tony, you and I all have the same thing. We're driven by the mission, by the goal. And I think that we're all kind of on the same pace here, where we want to build something significant for first responders, for you, and for veterans, for me, and Tony all around is stoked to be a part of this too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I love it, and I think so. Explaining a little bit further with that is obviously with us having the 501c3 attached benefits you guys, and maybe Tony, you can explain the kind of the business side of things, or you, Zach, whichever one, Rochambeau, where partnering with a 501c3 nonprofit benefits Ocean View Stables. You guys are pointing at each other.
Yeah,
No,
you're good.
Yeah. So one of the things that as a for-profit, we are not able to have volunteers, and there's a big aspect. Almost every day, somebody comes by and say, "I just want to come help." Yeah, well, no, you got to be in our lesson program, or you have to be an employee, or you have to be a boarder. Our lesson program has an aspect that you can, learn how to, but it's not the same, and as a 501c3, you have this aspect. You can bring in these people who want to be here for the horses, and you get a different caliber of person for that too. Somebody who's a professional in their own right, who just wants to spend time and be helpful for the cause that we're providing. So that's a benefit in itself. Another benefit is grants. You guys are going to be able to push grants in a direction to help promote this and get us to a point where we can maybe work with the VA. We can get a grant to solidify something that will help these veterans be able to work with the horses. Maybe sponsorship for the horses themselves. There's a lot of aspects here that as a 501c3, you can bring value to a lot of programs that are helping the community. We've been doing it for a long time without that. We let veterans ride for free, and that's our way of kind of like building a therapy program here without having a therapy program. It's not that. It's just cutting the red tape and saying, okay, it helped me, maybe it'll help you, so come ride for free. But that's not everything. There's so much that I can't do with that if we had therapists here and we had a structured program and we had a team that wanted to do it, because again, Tony and I are two people. And our wives, are there's four of us, and we are all spread thin, doing what we need to do to make this thing run. So if we bring on a partnership, somebody who wants to come in here and contract and help make this dream come true and be all of those parts, well, I mean, now we just extended ourselves from 4 to, I don't know how many is on your team, but at least the 2 of you, and now our team's built, and you guys have a focus, and your focus is all of those aspects. And we can keep doing the for-profit thing and making this thing grow. And you guys can put your energy towards doing all those other parts that's going to be significant for the community. So,
yeah.
So horses get a little better or a little worse every time you work with them. And if you don't know how you made them better, you've made them worse. So when it comes to all of these people that are coming out here participating in trail rides that haven't had lessons, they make the horses a little worse every time. So we got to keep working on getting them back to better. The caveat on that is, if these people were coming out and they're being volunteers, well, they would have to go through our program. They would be volunteers, and then so we would have to structure a system where they are learning our way of horsemanship. And so they're not adding to the problem. So that these horses are getting people that are coming out here that are benefiting them every time and bettering the situation every time. Because if we get dozens of people out here that have not learned the right ways, then every single time each one of these touches the horses, they're making them a little worse. And then what that does for me and my assistant trainer Jacob and my wife and Tony and Zoe is we have to come in here and we have to fix them. And we have to do it very, very frequently if we don't have the people with the right knowledge surrounding us. So it's not a bad thing. It's what this industry is. And it's something that we want to bring a good positive impact on is we want to do it a different way. We want to give them the tools to know how to do the right thing. And we need to be very quick at knowing who's not willing to learn those things and not let them participate as much. That being said, when it comes to the veterans and it comes to the first responders, I'll fix it every time. If they don't want to learn, that's fine. If they just want to pet the horse and not learn, as long as they're safe, then when they leave, I'll fix the problem. That's fine. But in general, if somebody wants to be a volunteer here, they need to go through our program, and that's the only way that it's going to be sustainable. So
yeah. which makes sense, and it's kind of like the same thing with getting a puppy, for instance, right? Where it's like. You get a dog and you keep up with the training, the trainer comes maybe once a week, dog's doing really good, and then you let off for a little bit. Dog starts picking up on bad habits where right after someone comes and does a ride, maybe doesn't correct some of the horse's movement, you're like, okay, I recognize that, which happened on the ride that we went on. With the horse that you were on, right?
Well, you went on a ride that was like, we were going on that ride to train horses. It was an off ride. It wasn't a ride for clients. We said, hey, you guys want to hop on a ride as we were training our horses.
Yeah, and I took off my board shorts and my sandals and threw on actual shit.
Zach's stinky boots.
Yeah, and then so your horse bucked you off, swapped right away. Zach hops on and then is like, okay, we got to work on this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what, and it's funny because I use Tony as my guinea pig in these situations. If we have a horse that's doing something, I tend to fix things so quickly, subconsciously. So I'll get on it and they'll slightly make something and I'll just like slightly correct it. And they're like, oh, okay. And then I'll do that like without even thinking about it 2-3 times. And then they're perfect the whole ride. I'm like, what do you mean this horse has a problem?
Yeah. It's you.
And so what I need to do is I need to put somebody on the horse that's just going to, kind of ride more like a client. Because I can't get myself to do it. And so we told Tony to get on and we're like, hey, so just kind of be a little annoying. And so he went on there and he was being a little annoying and she's like pinning her ear and my wife was in the back. She's like, hey, keep being annoying. And so he kept being annoying and then the horse like really got upset and started fussing. And she's like, well, what if you just poked at it a little bit more? And he did. And then she did a little crow hop and then turned her butt to the side and he found a nice soft landing right in the sand and I was able to see exactly what the issue was and I was able to get on and work her through it. Like, but I would never have gotten to the point where I could see that if I were on. Yeah.
You know, the real reason you asked me earlier why I don't have my cowboy hat yet. And I've come to realize that the reason I don't have it is because he wants to continue to use me as a guinea pig. And if I had my cowboy hat, this wouldn't have happened because I would have known. But
then it would probably fall on
a guinea pig.
Then I'm probably
it couldn't be you.
Really, that's what's happening.
It's got to be Tony. Because Tony's my business partner. There's no liability. There's nothing you can do about it.
You know that?
True. You don't even have to sign the waiver that Kelsey and I had to sign on Water Road. You're just no waiver, nothing. And there's no way you're going to do anything about it because it's your business partner. So you get thrown off once or twice and you're just like, all right, cool.
It's either him or it's Jacob. But Jacob at this point rides too well, so I can't do it with him now. So
too funny. I love it. Nah, that was fun. That was good times getting out there. I know it's been a while since I've been on a horse, and obviously I'm looking forward to coming out here more, learning more about horses, getting on them, and it really is cool. So like if you're out here listening and you've never really been on a horse or you've done maybe a ride on vacation, and like I did one in Costa Rica where you do like a quick little ride where it's just like, cool, we're going to go see the sights. Like I really recommend you coming out here, seeing all the stable with all the horses' heads sticking out, seeing their names and a little bit about them, petting them. Like there's something really cool about it. And then getting to ride one of them. And I absolutely loved it.
Right on.
And so how many horses do you guys have here?
We have 22 horses and we have 7 horses boarded? You would
Yeah.
know the boarders better.
Yeah, I think
That's
7.
But we just started building the new paddocks, as you saw when you came in today, and those should be finished in like a week or so. And we'll be moving horses out there, and then we're going to ramp up our boarding aspect. Right now, we have a waiting list. We weren't taking in new boarders because we wanted to finish this barn first. But I think that's also in the pipeline, and the barn should be fixed. Within 6 months?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Definitely within 6 months. We come back here in 6 months, it'll look like a different place.
Well, I think the next venue we're going to be at is the.
You want to do it? Yeah. So it's the Presidio Wine Bunkers.
Yeah, but if we do it there, I'm saying we need to just have your dad be a part of the podcast.
Oh, for sure.
Because he is a character.
He's very entertaining.
Yeah, he's going to be, and he's wildly successful in his own right as a businessman. So we have a lot to talk about on that end. And he'll take over the show.
Yeah. He'll love having a glass of whiskey with us.
I think it'd be more appropriate to do wine.
Oh
yeah,
right.
no, we got to do wine.
Yeah,
do
wine
wine.
and then some like chocolate
wine.
and everything. You know,
He might be having whiskey off camera.
We got to have a charcuterie board too. You know, like
we could do that. Totally mix it up. Cool. So I'm trying to think of what else we got to touch on before we start getting into like the call to action. And is there anything else? Am I missing something? Where are we at?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I think
we do this again and again.
Yeah, I was gonna say we hit a lot of points here, and really it just flowed really well. I don't even think we need to force anything into it.
Yeah, I think we
like Zach says with the horses, sometimes you like saying on a good note, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know when we took our break, we kind of like sat down, took a quick tactical pause, and we were like, all right, what did we touch on? What do we still need to touch on? And then we were like,
I've got something.
oh, he's got some.
I've got something.
Send it, go.
Okay. Did you do podcasts because your last name's Rogan? You're like, I'm going to be the next Rogan.
No.
Were you a comedian before you were a podcaster?
No.
Were you like a fighter? No.
I would like to say a gunfighter, but I
Gunfighter.
never went to combat. Like
So the only thing that you aspired to be like was Joe Rogan's podcast.
yeah, no. I never thought I would.
You'd be Greg Rogan.
Grogan and Rogan. No. And that's,
Grogan.
dude, and that's honestly the first time anybody has ever brought that up where it's like your names are similar or are you trying to be like Joe Rogan?
It's not just similar. Are you related?
No, we're not really.
There's a gene.
We're both
of it.
bald, everything. But no, and so I think before we got cut off, I wouldn't even want to be to that level, I guess, because I would, unless we got like a crazy amount of money in grants and where like you can do whatever you want, but I want more of that money to go to therapy.
No, but if you had that kind of platform, you know how big of a difference you could make?
True. But I don't know if we'll ever get there because we're still in a garage on a poker table that's about to break. With
No,
the
you're
flag
not.
In the background.
No, you're not.
Why you're going to get there.
You're on a big ass.
Because you're in a garage on a poker table. That's why you're going to get there.
But he's not there anymore. Now you're on a horse ranch in San Francisco. Like that.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing with Eli to be able to do this and working with him, and then with you guys is to be able to kind of to grow through the nonprofit, to be able to fund podcasts, to travel, to do all this and get better clips and everything.
We got to get Greg Rogan on Joe Rogan's podcast. It'll be Rogan or Rogan.
Greg Rogan.
Joe Rogan, if you're listening to this, which you're probably not.
Listen, we plugged you.
Yeah.
You owe us one. This is a backlink.
Yeah, so I'd love to be on your podcast, which gets millions of views, to be able to talk about the Overwatch Collective, to raise awareness and get more funding to be able to pay for therapy. So
If you don't put him on it, you're a bully.
that's my whole goal. And so for us, realistically, for the podcast side of things, because it's cool to have a nonprofit and a podcast synced, because
Definitely.
it just works hand in hand. All of our therapists do a podcast with them, where a majority of the nonprofits are just nonprofits, but the podcast helps with advertisement. But there's some sort of like human aspect to not having a crazy studio.
Yeah.
And just being like, yo, we're throwing up a fucking flag in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about the poker table that's halfway in, gonna break soon with camo netting over it. Like, it's about the message, the content, the people that we have on to be able to talk about military service, first responder service, and then like the mental health awareness side of things, where it's like, for me, that's all I care about, as long as we get some like good mics and the audio sounds good, where we can get the message out. But for me, I want all the money and funding to go towards therapy.
Yeah.
And all that. So that's where we're at now. If it grows later on, which I want it to, then we could start doing more stuff with the podcast aspect as well. But now we got to get therapists in 50 states. We got to just like you guys with the business, right? Where it's like, we need to hit some boxes to check off before we start getting there.
Yeah. You got to put a project management together.
Yeah.
Which we just did. And we have our thing set up and now we're trying to budget it out and figure out how many of these things we can move forward.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And then now it's your turn. I've got a question for you.
Mine. Shit. Go for it.
Okay. So we talked about a lot of your businesses.
Yes.
Tell me about the snakes.
Oh,
I hate snakes, by the way. Fun fact.
All right. So
it's his best business.
That's yes, I do have a snake business.
Yeah, I'm out.
Sorry, everything's in it.
I'm out.
I breed. I have a business partner in that also. His name is Ruben. So Ruben, I'm sure you'll watch this at some point. So our business is called Elios Herpetology, and we breed primarily ball pythons.
What's your website called?
I'm gonna have to ask Ruben that because I don't know if we even have one yet.
You're such a good businessman.
It's a hobby. It's something we did. He had a bunch of snakes. I had a few of them, and we just kind of put them together, started breeding them.
It's like rabbits. They just threw them in there and it's like, oh fuck, they're breeding. What do we do? Well, fuck, I guess we could sell them
out of our storage facility in Daly City, which probably is not a great idea either. So
if they get loose, people just show up in their storage facilities.
I'm literally driving the other way. I don't do snakes at all.
Nice.
All right, we're gonna cut out the part where you said that you live in your storage facility.
The one in another state.
Yeah. The storage facility in Tennessee, right?
Very far away from
near Nashville. Yeah, no, I'm good at snakes. I don't do snakes whatsoever.
You're telling me you wouldn't do a podcast holding a snake?
Jones.
Never.
Like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm out. That's it. That's all you got on the snake business.
No,
I mean, I'm breeding. Yeah, we're breeding ball pythons.
How often do you get bit?
Like, not as often as Jacob, actually. Who got bit pretty recently. No, not that often. You know, they're cool. They're, like I said, I like animals all across the board. Whatever they are, I've always had a fascination for them. So, yeah. There's all kinds of cool different morphs and colors and you know, the whole 9 yards.
The moral of the story is you can make money with anything if you're ambitious enough.
Yeah. It's just that you can't let those barriers, I guess, block your dreams. So, you know, if there's something out there that you want to do and might sound crazy, might seem weird, screw it, just do it. Like, just go for it. What do you really have to lose? Really think about what I really have to lose, you know?
The snakes one's insane.
Not much.
Like you would never expect that somebody could make money with snakes, but I guess people do.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Not a ton. It's not, you know. But
there's a whole industry of it.
There is. There's snakes out there that sell for $30,000-$40,000 a snake, which is, believe it or not, isn't absolutely insane, but it happens. It happens, you know.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm still not out of this conversation.
Greg, I'm sure he'll give you one if you really.
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate you.
I think there's babies. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm good. We'll take dogs in the house, but not snakes.
He'll just give it to your wife.
Yeah. No, we are good.
It's not dogs. It's snakes.
Are good. No, we're good.
Look at your wife just paused. She was like,
I'm not opposed.
No, we're good. We are good.
Go for it.
Cool. Are we done with the snakes?
Yeah,
done with snakes.
I'm scared of snakes.
Snakes are done. Cool.
I just want to put them on the spot a little bit. That was all.
I hope there are no snakes here, or I'm never coming back.
No matter what we do, he has to put me on the spot for something.
So if we want to get rid of Greg, we just bring snakes.
Seriously, there you go. That's all you have to do. That is all you have to do. Cool. So as far as call to actions, what do we need the people to do? Our supporters. Let's go around the table. You want to start storage facilities, your businesses?
I'll start off with where we're at. I'll start with Ocean View Stables.
Let's do it.
So, as I said before, if you want to escape the day-to-day madness and craziness that you deal with, get in an Uber. If you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, you are 10 minutes away from a little mini paradise right on the ocean. And I can guarantee you when you're here, the last thing you'll be thinking about are any of the problems that you had before you entered these gates. First call to action. I mean, yeah, I'd say come down, come for a trail ride, get a lesson with Zach and his wife Kalea, or Jacob, and yeah.
Or any of the other great staff that we have. We can name them all off.
Of course,
a lot
Caroline,
of
all of them, all our staff. I don't mean to.
No, it's fine. And it's www.oceanviewstables.com. And if you don't like horses, but you're still in the Bay Area, don't forget to go say hi to Tony and Treasure Island at Affordable Storage, or in Daly City.
Yes, at Daly City at Bayshore Storage. If you have any needs, we get some great specials going on right now for units, Bayshore Storage. Or if you have any graphic needs at Graphics by the Bay. Yeah, that's about it.
Pure 80. I mean, we can just keep going. But
yeah, that's okay. We'll tap into some more later.
Any snakes?
Yeah,
snakes.
Yeah, reach out to me on my non-existent social media.
Next on the barn?
Listen.
Other than the app, you're getting the Overwatch Collective app. So welcome to social media, brother.
Find me on the Overwatch Collective app if you want to buy a snake.
He has no other social media, so that's the only way you can get a hold of him. So I guess I'm going to be on the app too.
You are. You will be on the app after this.
What color is my border going to be? What is horse person?
We don't have one yet.
We got to have a horse person.
Yours is going to be green.
Yours green.
Yours is going to be
I want it
green.
to be brown.
Military.
No, yours is green because of your military service. Thank you for your service. God bless America.
Thank you for your service.
Cool. So, anything else on Tony? Touched on Ocean View Stables call to action. Anything from you?
No, I'm all in on this. It's Ocean View Stables. If you want to talk to me about horsemanship, leadership through horsemanship, corporate events, anything related to this, Zachary at oceanviewstables.com, you can contact me directly, or you can go to our website. So
he's your man.
Yep.
So that was perfect. It's almost like you've said that a few times.
Like a dozen.
Maybe a little bit more than a dozen.
You can tell I've said it.
Yeah. Cool. So for the Overwatch Collective side of things, if you are listening to this, number one, yes, I encourage you to please head to your app store, type in the Overwatch Collective, hit download, create a profile. It's not just like a generic app where it's like, oh, one more app on my phone, one more app. This is actually going to save and change lives amongst our community. The more people we get into it, the more we can advertise, make money, use that money towards doing greater good for our community, which is obviously our entire goal at the Overwatch Collective. For us, if you do want to sponsor our podcast, we will gladly work with you. We'll mention you on every single podcast for 30, 60 seconds. We'll put your logo behind us as we're recording. And then we are, as we've talked about, we're a 501c3. So if you're a company business that needs someone to donate to for Giving Tuesday every year, or you have a lot of money towards nonprofits annually that you can donate to, we'll give you a donor letter for tax deduction. All of your money, your donations will be going towards therapy sessions for our first responder and military community. And that is essentially it.
His nonprofit is a good cause and a write-off. So
it is. It really is. And everybody on the board of directors, we're all volunteers. So we have myself, we have Kelsey, the secretary, Cheryl, the treasurer, Donna, who's the chair of the board. We have Cameron, who's therapist outreach. And then we're constantly adding more people onto it where we can create board positions, we can create committees, where we can just basically get as many people in the community that want to do good on board with us to help more people across the country.
I love it.
All right, this was great.
Yeah. One more.
You've already been prepping and thinking about this, huh?
No,
the entire time since I brought it up.
No, you were just gonna.
You literally grabbed the challenge coin and looked at the back. I saw you. I saw you. So
I did. Okay.
Zach's lost right here in the middle. But so basically, the way that I wrap up all of the podcasts is our motto at the Overwatch Collective is one more is one less. So it's on the back of our challenge coins, our t-shirts. And essentially that's what our entire board of directors and our community thinks of every time that we help one person, because it's one more person that we can connect. That's one less person out there struggling or doesn't know the resources that are available to them, or one less suicide, which is where it derived from season 1, episode 6, with an Army combat vet who was 11 Bravo, who lost more friends to suicide upon return stateside than in combat. So what I like to do, usually it's just me and one other person, but now you guys get to roast a boat or just point at each other and figure out who's going to go first. But I like to hear what one more is one less means to you.
Well, one more is one less makes me think of 22. And everyone knows what that is. And so if we are stopping that or slowing that down, and what you've said, even if your whole mission ends with one person less, it's worth it to you. And my idea is we have that 22, and that's crazy, because I don't think there's many industries or many groups of people that are falling at the same rate. So, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Nice.
Your turn.
My turn. I think to me I think there's a lot of people that are out there, whether you're a first responder, a military veteran, or just somebody that's going through a hard time in life, that is seeking change. I think change sometimes can seem like a big mountain that's in front of you. And I think each day, if one more step is taken in the right direction, that's one less step that's taken in the wrong direction. And sometimes simplifying that and breaking it down into smaller baby steps will help you eventually climb that mountain and make the changes you need. So
Nice.
I like it. Very nicely said. I like it because every single time that I ask someone what it means to them, it's always different.
Yeah.
And it's cool to have, every single guest that's on the podcast, or sometimes we ask it on the social media account, like, what does one more is one less mean to you? Like, everybody has a different version of it. So it's cool. So sorry for putting you guys on the spot. It happens to everybody. But I appreciate you guys sharing what one more is one less means to you.
Yeah. Thank you for this today.
Cool.
That's a really, really rough one, because, like, that's your mission. That's your, like, a part of the thing.
It is.
And it's like, you're like, okay, this is, what does this mean to you?
Yeah, it is.
It means words. Like, letters and numbers added together to be a sentence. And
yeah, and it's cool. Like, usually, like, the entire episode, obviously you're talking about like what we just talked about, or you have someone on here who knows someone who's died by suicide, attempted dying by suicide, or he or she himself or herself have attempted suicide. And when you kind of get asked that question, you think back like the entire episode and you're like, wow, like, it kind of puts it into perspective, like how powerful one more is one less is. And I love it that that's our motto. So it's so cool to ask everybody.
I love it.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, amazing episode. I know we already talked. We're going to do this again in a few months. Next time will be where?
Presidio Wine Bunkers,
Yep.
1430 Compton Road, San Francisco.
So we're going to work on scheduling that. We'll get a different venue.
Sure.
It'll be a cool venue, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Should you also put like real estate rentals that you have?
Yeah, do it in a Connex box.
Yeah. There you go. That works.
Cool. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Take care, stay safe, and God bless America.